2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. Is my partner gaslighting me? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. Hey, Tyler.
What's going on, Brannon?
Thought about you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was biting my nails, and I had a hangnail, and I ripped the skin off next to my nail, and that made me think about you.
because it's been a lifelong problem of mine. Is that why?
I just remember seeing blood coming out of your fingers like
your
whole life.
That has been a lifelong, that has been like the hardest habit for me to kick. I've been trying to kick that habit since I was like 11. Currently, I'm in a state of non-relapse. You can see my fingers, not a single bloody finger right now.
No way.
And I can usually go for like 2 or 3 months at a time now before I finally have a relapse.
Wow, that's recovery right there. Dang. Because all I've known you as is like bloody fingers.
Oh man, it's like
I've watched you just rip chunks of skin.
I've come to realize this. You know how like we always talk about like teenagers or people who struggle with like emotional problems and they do cutting, like they cut their wrists or they'll slice their thighs or whatever.
Self-harm.
This was my version of it. I'm
fascinating.
It's not really the biting the fingernails. It's actually the feeling of that little bit of pain that is the emotional release from my anxiety and my stress, my frustration.
Dang, I never thought of that.
not that we want to get all the way into that today, but
I know we should do an episode just on you and just on that.
My lack of ability to cope with anxiety that I didn't know I was never diagnosed with it.
Interesting though. Yeah. Now you got me thinking about, because I bite my nails, but I don't go as far with it as you used to.
It wasn't the nails. It was the actual bleeding that was the relief.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Weird.
So, well, I'm glad you're in recovery.
Yeah, well, thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah. So, all right. With that intro,
let's get back on topic here.
Yeah. I just want to introduce Tina to the show. Tina, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. If you could just tell us your story a little bit, tell us what's been going on with you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I have been married for 20 years. Got married as a 19-year-old girl. I say girl, even though it's a woman, but 19 is so super young.
That's young.
very, very young. Grew up very in a conservative culture. Um, However, my mom was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder when I was a child. And so it was kind of a rough childhood where there was a lot of highs and lows, but I got through there. And then, yeah, I just grew up, got married, jumped into the whole Mormon, everything's going to be perfect thought process when I got married. And then found out probably 13 years into the marriage that there was porn addiction. Um, it was never really disclosed or anything. It was just like a caught in the act kind of moment. And since then, like at first I tried to fix it myself. And then eventually I've gotten to the point where I've just been done in the marriage and I feel like there's no progress on the other end. But recently, it's become with my husband, he has tried to diagnose me with borderline personality because I want out of the marriage. And he has put me kind of to blame for all the problems within the marriage. And so I'm kind of just trying to pick up the pieces and find out what like I have brought into the marriage that has caused the trouble versus like, is he actually gaslighting me, and trying to like figure out a way that I could in my future as I move forward know if it's like on me or if somebody is trying to like mess with how I'm thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is a really great question. So if I'm going to distill that all down, what I'm really hearing you say is I want to understand what parts might be mine here as I try to move forward, but I also want to understand what parts are actual gaslighting.
Exactly. Yes.
Tina, where are you at in the divorce process?
I have started a petition, but it hasn't been filed yet.
Okay. So you haven't been through mediation, and it's really kind of the
No.
early stages.
Yeah, he has refused to talk about it. He pretty much says that I am like devastating everybody. So he hasn't been working with me. So I've been kind of on my own as I move forward legally.
Gotcha.
Can I ask you? Oh, go ahead, Brannon.
No, please, Tyler.
Can I ask you to, if you can, Tina, you don't have to go into more detail than you want to, but
Mhm.
what has been your process that has brought you from finding out about the porn use, trying to fix it, trying to save him, then realizing you got some things you want to do on your own, and now currently getting to the state where you're looking to be out? What's been the emotional process, and what are the factors that have brought you to the point that this is where you're at and that's the direction you're going?
A lot actually. So my mom actually passed away a couple of years ago. And then I was recently diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which I'm okay. But I kind of have been put in a place where I'm like, life is too short to be in this like numb state. And yeah, I just want to be happy, and I want my children to be happy because we have 3 children, and I feel like it's just a stressful environment for them too. And I just feel like it's time. I've waited for so long that I'm just done.
As you've reflected on kind of the thing that you said, really, like what parts of it are me and mine, and what parts of it aren't. When you look back on the relationship, where do you see your struggles? Like what are some struggles that you've had in the relationship in terms of being a healthy partner?
Well, at first I think I didn't know how to communicate in the relationship just because I was so young too, and I grew up with a single mom, so I don't think I ever really saw a relationship. And I'm like a type A personality, so I could be impatient, and I am like I strive for big things, which he never really loved that I was like when we wanted to build a house, I wanted to build a house, and I was probably pushy. I didn't feel pushy, but he told me I was pushy and stuff like that. So like impatient, poor communication. He thinks I have high expectations, but I don't really know how to judge if that's true or not.
Okay. But it sounds like there's a common theme that I'm hearing in that, like he's saying that he can't live up to like the things you want and to you. Like, is that accurate?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Um, all right. Tyler, any other questions?
Yeah, to go along with that. And what Brandon's trying to do is kind of try to tease out where you've come to in terms of your own, like answering your own question that you've asked us, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm kind of wondering with these things you said, I've come to realize that maybe I didn't know how to communicate properly because it wasn't really demonstrated.
Hmm.
I maybe have been a little bit impatient. Type A sometimes is misunderstood as being impatient and perfectionistic. And I kind of have a type A personality that you don't necessarily maybe want to change, but you're acknowledging that. And
Yeah.
then the idea of high expectations, it's hard to use only your addicted partner as the gauge for whether or not those things are true. I guess I'm wondering, as you kind of do your
Yeah.
own self-assessment and also look at maybe relationships across other types of relationships, siblings, friends, teachers,
Work.
bosses, like are there any patterns that emerge that align themselves with these things or other things?
Mm, no, like everybody else seems to see me differently than he does. I just don't know why I put so much emphasis on his opinion, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's always telling me, oh, you've pulled through for me, you've helped me do this, thank you so much, you're so strong. Like I get a lot of that. So it's usually never negative, but then with my partner it has been. So
Okay. I think Tyler's question is a really good question. And if that's the case, Tina, what you're saying, then that's something to really look at of like, you know, are I want to say this in a way where you don't feel any blame, but
mhm.
it sounds like your husband feels like you're too much for him.
Yeah.
Um, and I wonder, not knowing everything that goes on is it because he has so much shame and so much weakness that he can't handle a powerful, strong woman? And so the thing to try to do is to cut you, down at your knees and make you as weak and as pathetic as you can be, so that he can hang in a relationship with you. It's interesting to me that you said you've been married how long?
20 years.
20 years. And for 13 years, you didn't know about the porn addiction.
Yeah.
And so for 13 years, he was living in secrecy, while his shame and guilt and all these things were just like festering there
Yeah.
and creating all kinds of attachment issues within the relationship. Um, and so I don't want to let you off the hook completely here, but
Hmm.
it doesn't sound like you married a very healthy person,
Yeah.
when you got married when you were 19.
Yeah. Well, and I think what has been confusing is he says that shame was because I'm mean, like that he would have talked to me if I was a nicer person.
Why would he call you mean? Like, what's the evidence of that?
He never has an example. He just that I'm not gentle.
Do you yell? Do you yell? Do you call names? Do you
No,
get
no.
sarcastic and rude? Do you like
I get
any of the?
upset. I might maybe rude sometimes, but
But
I
getting
try not to be. Yeah.
but getting upset is not unhealthy. Right? There's a difference between, like, if he comes to you and says something that's triggering and upsets you,
Mhm.
that's actually normal and okay.
Yeah.
But if your emotion he can't handle, if he takes it too personally,
Yeah.
then this is what I'm saying, where he can't handle a strong, powerful woman who's honest,
Yeah.
um, where he's over attached to you, so therefore your look that you give him, or your sadness or your fear, means something so devastating to him that he can't handle it. Um,
Right,
right.
Brandon, basically what I think you're getting at is that anyone who finds out that there's been 13 years of secrets is going to have a response. And the response is normal to feel devastated, disgusted, confused, all sorts of questions, angry. the key is how do I handle that response? And if I've gone into like the dramatic things where I get coercive with something, or I do blaming myself, or I start calling names, or I get physically violent, or I'm like, that would be one thing that I would then go back and say, for my own sake, that's probably outside of my values. I need to work on those things. But if I'm just like, man, this sucks, and I don't really want to be close to you right now because I don't know who you are anymore, like that's just human. And so the weird thing is when we work with couples like this, there's often sort of like this middle ground where there might be a little sliver of the betrayed partner who's like, yeah, I want to still treat him with dignity and respect, even though it's really hard for me to do that right now. And I'll take ownership for that. And I still feel devastated, and he needs to go to work on those things. And what Brannon's trying to tease out right now is how much of this is his shame that he hasn't learned how to manage. And now he's putting it on you as if it's your inability to actually be kind to him.
Yeah.
And how much of that is me going, if I'm honest with myself, I could still approach it this way or this way or this way a little bit differently, and I'd want to.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you know? And I think for you to take a step out of the relationship a little bit, to be able to say, okay, what's the evidence, or what Tyler's question was earlier, what's the evidence around me outside of this relationship? And if it's, look, like people love me, they connect to me, like maybe this is more in that relationship. Now, Tina, one thing I do wonder about, and I don't know, is you came from a situation where you had a single mom who was borderline,
Yeah.
right? So you have some significant trauma, whether it's little T trauma or big T trauma.
Yeah.
Now, how can I say that? How do I know that?
Well, I think that's normal in that situation, generally speaking. But also, I've been in a relationship where it wasn't healthy. So I think that's telling. Like I chose to be in a relationship like that.
Yeah. So that's something like at 19 years old, how many siblings do you have?
One full and one half.
One full. And where do you fall in the mix?
I'm oldest.
You're the oldest. So what role did you play with your mom?
I was the caretaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would make sense that you'd get in a relationship with somebody who is like, Tina, you're gonna caretake for me? You're gonna caretake? That's what you're supposed to do, right? And then you're growing up and you're kind of growing out of this, and you're like, man, I want a masculine man with who knows who he is, and he's like, but you're supposed to caretake. Come on back down to this and caretake for me.
Yeah.
So as the caretaker for your mom, that's a lot of responsibility, right? And it's a lot of tricky attachment stuff going on with her, I imagine. But can you speak to that some?
Yeah, I think I put my value fully on being able to take care of her because there wasn't a lot of parenting being done. Because the focus was all on her needs. And so I think I assigned my value as, well, I take care of my mom. So I think that's kind of where it's transferred onto the marriage too, because that's a good person who takes care of people. I mean, if you give it that, label or whatever. So I think I found comfort in being the caretaker.
Yes.
Instead of actually seeing the healthy, seeing that it's not healthy.
You found comfort and identity, and probably, I'm guessing, some level of safety or perceived stability when you're dealing with someone who's got borderline personality disorder. There's not a lot of stability.
Right.
And so if you're the one that caretakes everything, at least there's a perceived sense of control and safety in that, even though it was or wasn't real,
Yeah.
But the biggest issue is that you said you identified that your value as a good person hinged on whether or not you take care of everybody else's issues. And that's the big one, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like the thyroid cancer and your mom dying kind of smacked you a little bit of like, I don't want to spend my life resenting people because I'm caretaking for them and not living in my own truths, and I'm ready to live in my own truths. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say. Is that accurate?
yeah, that's where I'm at. I think what's just difficult is that it's still coming up, like with our children and stuff. It's like, well, mom isn't here as much as she used to be because she's working more, or like, so it's hard to not fall into that like guilt that's like in the shadows. Because I feel like I'm making good progress, but then I get like these like hits kind of.
But so he can push that button, and it's worked in the past, and probably continues to work some still, because that was the button that was pushed all growing up for you, of like, when are you going to show up for me? When are you going to take care of me? When my needs are the most important here? And if you feel like, uh-oh, someone's seeing that I'm not taking care of them, then that's terrifying in many ways. That's scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because I don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't want to like not do my part in things. And so it is very scary.
Right.
One of the difficult things when you've got a belief like that is that you have a value system of being kind to people, but you also have a belief system that says that's where you get your value. And it's, people often go like, well, I gotta just not take care of anybody anymore. And they throw it all out the window. And that's like, no, but that's betraying themselves too. And so the work, now this is why it sounds like it's messy for you, is you still have the value of wanting to be kind and respectful, but you also have to separate. And that's how I get my value. And when your husband comes back and is like, you've got borderline personality disorder because you're no longer being like this ultimate caretaker. What is the process of being able to dance with that belief system now that you've recognized it in a healthy way where you can still keep your values, but not get sucked back into the old way of being?
That's a good question. I had my therapist give me the test so that I at least had like the science to back that I was okay. But yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like I go in waves. Like I'll have a good day where I'm feeling like good. And then if I'm like hungry or tired or whatever, that stuff still kind of gets to me.
I just want to say, just, you know, usually, Tina, and I don't know, I'm not diagnosing you one way or the other here, but usually within the first 5 minutes of talking to a borderline, you can tell if somebody's borderline. You can pick up on it pretty easily. And Tyler and I have worked enough with borderline because, and we have quite a bit, right, Tyler? I'm sure you've had a lot of borderline clients, and just you sure don't seem borderline at the like beginning of talking to you here, Tina. Like, we would be seeing certain things going on in this conversation right now if an access to personality disorder were present. And so I just want you to hear from me that I'm not picking up on that. So you hear that from your husband, right?
Yeah.
You've heard from your therapist that you're not borderline. You're hearing from me like, you really don't seem borderline. So Tyler,
I agree with you. And again, this is all part of the process day to day. So when it does come up and your doubts creep in, there's a few things that I think can be helpful to make sure that you're trying to be in your values, you're trying to be honest with yourself, but you're also getting regrounded over and over again, because you're gonna run into this because you're challenging a belief you've been carrying with you your whole life. You're gonna run into this not just with your husband, but in other places too. And every time it comes up, there's a few things that can be helpful to kind of get yourself back on track towards, no, I'm just making some changes in my life, and these are the changes I'm trying to reinforce. So one thing is to recognize it. You become aware of it and go, oh, there's that yuck, like that, my feeling of faltering, or my feeling of not being good enough, or my feeling of there's my shame, whatever it is. Once I recognize it, some tools, some grounding tools, physical grounding, melt an ice cube in your hand, or do some deep breathing, or do some box breathing, or whatever else, and some self-compassion, and then some connection with other people to say, hey, I need to check something out with you right now. Like, and people you trust, like if you have 2 or 3 friends that you can kind of run it through, it doesn't mean they're always right, but it gives you more data for you then to go, okay, wait a second, did what they tell me line up with what I was feeling or not? And then I'm going to probably have to take action of courage against the belief that I'm trying to not live anymore. So that means in this case, I'm probably going to need to go back to my husband and not fix him.
Yeah.
Not caretake him, maybe set another boundary, or maybe speak my mind, or maybe share some feelings that I'm having, or I'm going to have to take action against that belief because I'm reinforcing something new now.
It's really interesting, Tyler. And Tina, like your, how do I put this? Um, let me kind of put this in a nutshell. So, your husband's accusing you of being unhealthy, and I would say it is both and. So, you have been unhealthy, and that's how you've gotten into a relationship with him and stayed in a relationship with him.
Mhm.
And now you're getting healthy is actually destroying your relationship.
Yeah.
Your good boundaries are destroying a toxic relationship. And he's coming back to you and he's saying, but where's the unhealthiness? Like, we need that. Like that, and actually accusing you of being borderline and all this stuff, because it's like you're just like doing this and doing that to me.
Yeah.
And so it's backwards. I think it's important for you to be able to really look at, how did I get in this relationship? Like, how did I get here? Um, and do that self-reflection coming from your background. There's going to be some attachment issues and attachment wounds that you really want to look at. You're making positive changes in your life, which is destroying your relationship, which is actually acting in your healthiness. And that's what Tyler was just saying. So does that make sense? Tina, are you there? Oh, you're muted.
I think she's muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. So I just need to have courage and yeah, ground myself, which I am doing. I just need to remember to do it like when I feel that shake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having that support and coming back to those principles of what you're actually trying to fight for. And Brannon, to add on to what you were saying there, Brannon, when you start to get healthy, you are destroying a toxic relationship. And in doing that, you're also fertilizing the ground for a future invitation of new relationship in some form that is going to be healthier than the one that you just pulled up. And it might not be with the same person, but that's another way of looking at this, because you always get this. We all hate this idea of losing something, even if it's bad for us. When we've had a 20-year relationship, it still hurts to think about having to grieve the loss of all of what that means over the last 20 years, and even the attachment that I had there. And so being able to say, and as I move forward, I'm inviting newness. I'm not just losing, I'm inviting newness. And I think that's really important too.
Yeah, I love that.
You just said something I think is important, is I just need to, I don't know how you worded it, but I just need to stay steady. I need to stay grounded. So it's normal, and we see this all the time with addiction, where somebody who wants to keep their addiction and keep their relationship at the same time, they have to do something. And what they have to do is they have to get their partner to sacrifice their truths and to be unhealthy on an emotional, spiritual level in order to stay in that relationship while they have their addiction at the same time. And if they can get and it happens, they get their partner to do it, and their partner feels resentful, used, tired, spent, frustrated, but they, they're giving up all of their self in order to maintain the relationship. And the question I think you need to ask yourself, Tina, and I think you've already answered this, it seems, is, are you willing to give up yourself for the relationship with your husband? And it sounds like you're not. And is that the right thing to do? What do you think?
Yeah, well, for me, but also like I think of my kids, and I would never want them to give up themselves for somebody who is taking advantage of the situation in a sense.
Yeah,
Get what they want.
What do you want to model to your kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So
And
yeah.
you can get yourself, and this is so hard when he's attacking you and like going through this divorce process, digging his heels in and being difficult.
Mhm.
But you can get yourself to a place of compassion for him and understanding of why he is the way he is, and you can
Mhm.
still have boundaries with him. So you don't, you might go through a process of hating him or anger or frustration, and that's okay. That's okay. But you can get yourself to a place of your heart's at peace with him, and you can stay
Mhm.
grounded, and you can stay honest, and you can work through this in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well, and that's good for the kids too, because it's their dad. So that's
Yeah.
the goal.
But you
Yeah.
only have control of your side of that fence.
Yeah. It's true.
Tina, can I ask you, just kind of as we've been talking, Brandon and I have talked back and forth a little bit too. What's going through you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling emotionally right now? Where you're at right now?
I feel like relieved because I guess just like growing up in such a shaky environment, sometimes I'm like, well, it's hard to trust myself. So when I hear other people being like, no, you're okay, it just kind of like helps me like strengthen that internal like intuition and stuff. So yeah, I feel relieved. I feel empowered that I'm on the right course.
Do you
And
have
yeah,
Tina, do you have a group? Do you have a support system around you?
I have friends, but that's about it.
Yeah. Like it could do you some really good to have supports who have been through betrayal trauma, and not people who are going to just help you stay in a victim stance, but people that are going to help you navigate through this process of having these boundaries. I'm just thinking
Mm-hmm.
with your history with your mom, and then also your history being in a marriage with sex addiction for so long. I can tell, like, you're a type A personality, you trust your gut, but when those buttons get pushed to get you to deceive yourself, it's so
Mm-hmm.
helpful to be able to call somebody and say, my gut's telling me no. Tell me that's the right thing to do. And they're like, absolutely. You got
Yeah,
this, Tina.
yeah,
Maybe your friends give you that, but also some good support around the betrayal trauma would be good for you.
yeah, I think so. Because my friends they're kind, but they also don't want to get involved too. So they'll stay very neutral, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think the kind of support Brandon's talking about too is some people who will learn what you're going through so they can speak principles and language that'll be helpful as you continue to grow. And then also people who will help you to check the facts of things, because that's when you start to get like out on that, that old belief system comes in, and then the shame kicks in, and then the confusion happens. And you don't need people to like tell you what to do. You just need a landing space for people to spit the facts back to you and get the rational mind back online and say, oh yeah, like I'm seeing it. I think I'm seeing it accurately here. Um, so that's kind of, you don't need someone who's going to be like, yeah, your husband's a dirtbag and da da da. No, we don't. That's not what it's about. It's about, I'm here to help you grieve. I'm here to help you make sense of things. I'm here to help you make your own decisions, and I'm willing to do some learning to understand those principles. And that's what like a good group could do, or maybe your
Sounds like
friends could do.
you have a good therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been good.
Yeah. So she helps you stay grounded. She helps you move forward.
Hmm.
Hopefully she's giving you a lot of the feedback that you've heard from us today.
Yeah, she's been good. It's like the time in between visits is when I get shaky.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you could use a group. Like Tyler and my groups, they text every day.
Oh, I
Like
love that.
they're connected. They're going through it together. They support each other. So
Mhm.
yeah, if you want information about that stuff, we can get it for you. So
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah.
I kind of view that like with our groups that run the best. It's like there's that old, like, it's an old church song called the Lights Along the Shore, and it talks about the lower lights that are burning that lead to the lighthouse. And it's like, you get that weekly touch point with a group and a therapist or whatever else, but that becomes like only a little bit of structure, and it becomes expensive when you have a therapist involved. But when you have that group, that's just those touch points day to day to day that do the same things and in
Work
between the other
wonders.
pieces of
Yeah.
structure. And it really does work wonders.
Yeah. Tina, do you have any last questions for us?
No, I think you guys have helped me a lot. Just like good foundational steady hand. That's kind of what I need. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Tina,
Sounds like
go ahead, Brannon.
No, Tyler, please.
I was just going to say, I'm just grateful that she's been willing to come on and actually share herself today and her question. I think this question is actually, Brannon, a pretty big question because it can feel so confusing when there's often a little bit of both on both sides of, man, there are some things I want to improve on, but then my partner uses that as a weapon. And then I'm like, oh, that means I'm all bad. It's like, no, no, no. Like, I need to figure out how to go to work on myself and see those things, but at the same time, leave my partner's shame, my partner's manipulation, my partner's form of like coping, unhealthy coping in my partner's court. And it's hard to decipher that sometimes. And so that's why you need all those extra resources, people, perspective, learning, education, because it's an ongoing process.
I got a phone call from a guy just a couple months ago, and he like he's the furthest thing from a narcissist that I've ever met. Like, and he's telling me what a narcissist he is and why he needs to change and why, like, am I a narcissist and all this stuff. And he was like going on and on and on. And he had read all the books. And the more he read, it was like confirmation bias. It was like, yeah, see, there's the evidence that I'm a narcissist. And I'm thinking, for one, like, narcissists aren't very forthcoming and open about being a narcissist. and so, but what's interesting, and this is what I want you to hear, Tina, is, you know, you can guess what's going on behind the scenes there. He has a partner who really, really wanted to do her own thing and wanted out and had an agenda. It was a perfect thing if he could be a narcissist, because then it could justify all of her behavior, all of the things she's doing, and like if we can hide behind his narcissism over there, and if I can get him to buy it and believe it and go along with it, then I can like do my thing here. And I would say never trust a partner to diagnose you with a mental illness who has an agenda.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, and never believe a partner who's diagnosing you with that mental illness who has an agenda. And he does have an agenda, Tina. He wants to keep you in an unhealthy relationship so he can have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And is he a therapist? Is he a psychologist?
No.
So what gives him the right to sit here and tell you and diagnose you, especially when you have trauma from a borderline mom and like this pleaser thing? Like so he doesn't have the qualifications. He doesn't have the right. And I could give you come into a psych eval at my clinic here. Like, we could give you all the tests, but I'm telling you right now, you probably wouldn't come out as borderline.
Yeah.
So,
you know what's funny about that, Brannon, though, is everything you just said is true. And yet for so many people, the only person that really matters is the mentally ill, addicted partner himself anyway. Like,
with an agenda.
That is the hardest thing to break because of what attachment does to us. And because that person means so much in our life, their opinion weighs way more than the 20 other people I could go and talk to, unless I do my own work to become shame resilient and to become sort of interdependent inside of my relationship.
Right. Yep. Tina, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you. Your question is common. It's a lot more common than we'd like, but it's quite common. And so I'm glad you brought it to light today. Hopefully this helped some other people listening, and hopefully it helped you too. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Thank you, guys.
You bet. And for everyone listening, thank you for being here with us, for supporting us and supporting our callers. And hopefully you're getting some benefit too. And until next time, keep on keeping on.